Options. So many options. You wanted a quick mention, a quick shout out?
I do a quick shout out, Steve. Hannah and Surinder and also Chris all came to see me in Crown Matrimonial. Now finished, unfortunately, but they came to see the show in Malvern, and it was really, really nice. They were lovely to meet at stage door, and they gave me suggestions to play on the show and stuff. So I'm just dedicating the news to them. I ain't got a track for them. It's the news, right,
I hope
for
it's
them.
good news.
Listen, enjoy the news, ladies. Hello! Welcome to the show. I don't know why I said that. I've never really known how to greet people at the beginning of the programme. Hello! Hiya! Is that better? Is that more? It sounds like a kids presenter, doesn't it? Hiya! Welcome to Six Music. Do you like indie music? Do you like old classics like the Beatles? Stay tuned. I've got my fun gang with me as well. Hiya!
I don't like it.
It's weird, isn't it?
No, I don't like it. It's not you.
What? How should I normally start the show? What do you think? Just keep it a bit more street. You.
No, because that's not you either.
There was a brief period, I remember. You weren't in my class at school, were you, her?
No.
There was a brief period when I first moved to secondary school, I remember, when they used to call out the register and you had to just say yes or present, whatever. And for a while, I combined putting both thumbs up, like the Fonz, with yo. So she'd say merchant, yo. I mean, you know, in an effort to try and set an example, you know, you can kind of rebuild yourself when you go to your next school, you know, and mark yourself out from the crowd. You know, who's that cool and mysterious guy in the corner? And that was what I thought would win me, you know, hip new friends.
People say that I would have been bullied if I'd gone to a comprehensive school, Steve.
Undoubtedly.
If you turned up at my school where you had to stand up in Latin and just say a motto for the day, and you'd sit there with your thumbs and your extraordinary premature height as well and just said, yo, you would have been, so many wedgies, so many woodies.
It's such a shame that that you didn't go to my school, because what would have been great is you'd have been the one person I could have bullied, you know, quite rigorously with your, you know, you're a boater that you were forced to wear by your parents, just knocking that off and snapping your braces and your breeches.
My fiancée and I were talking about if we're blessed with children, whether or not we'll send them to a local school where we live in North East London, and she decided we probably couldn't because they would be bullied for being posh.
Yes.
And then I said, God, do you think we're going to have a posh baby? Do you think that's going to happen? The doctor's going to take us to one side, take us into an ante-room and say, I'm very, very sorry. I'm afraid your baby is posh.
It's just incredibly posh.
They can pick that up on the scans after about 28 weeks.
But how do you stamp out early signs of poshness?
I don't know. I play certain types of music while they're in the womb, maybe. Just pre-birth anti-posh devices.
Anti-posh music. What is anti-posh music?
I really
Dizzy
can't
Rascal?
think of it. Maybe.
Yeah.
Just endless Dizzy Rascal.
Yeah, a little bit of Lethal, maybe. Little Lethal Bizzle.
A bit Lethal Bizzle.
Yeah, that might be good.
Oh, a little baby bizzle.
Yeah.
Well, listen, thanks very much indeed for contributing to this first link. I appreciate it. I wanted to explain why I played the Beatles, but maybe I'll play some more music and then we can explain in a second why we played the Beatles from 1964. It's going well. Cheers.
BBC6 Music.
Live from New York, it's Sunday afternoon, Steve. 95 degrees here in the big city. It is actually, it's very hot, it's blisteringly hot. Probably cruise down to the beach later. Look forward to that, ladies. Do you know what's frustrating about missing that plane is that in the past, when you do it, you know, if you're travelling business class, they normally just whisk you through, carry your bags for you, delay the plane. One time I was actually flying business class, someone else was paying for it, and they actually delayed the plane so I could finish a massage I was having in the VIP waiting area. It's amazing. And then they rushed us through on one of those little carts, you know, little four-wheel carts. You know, the average punter like you, Tiny Dan, would never actually get to go on one of those carts.
It's good that you've kept connected to your roots, though. You know, it hasn't changed you.
Please ask permission when you're going to speak. But yeah, no, I've always thought it would be nice to be one of those guys that you see rushing to get personally driven to the plane, and that has been me. But sadly, this time, I was paying for the flight myself, so obviously I went for the cheapest possible ticket. And, it's quite ugly when you have to turn left, turn right, having turned left in the past.
Yeah.
And you see them pull the curtain across, and you just peer in, you can see the free champagne in the newspapers. I had to buy my own copy of the Daily Mail. I tell you, be careful of teenagers.
But anyway, so while I was on the plane, 11 hours, I couldn't really sleep, obviously, because I didn't have the reclining seat. But I came up with a fantastic business idea. It had been simmering away in my mind since I was at a wedding a couple of weekends ago, and it's a fantastic business idea. But I will tell you that in a kind of Dragon's Den way. I will present it to you after we've heard a musical choice from Tiny Dan.
Yes. Well, I thought I'd be fantastically original like yourself and go for the New York connection. I don't know if you're aware of Steinsky.
No.
Well, let me tell you, he's a New York hip-hop legend, who's been doing these kind of bootleg releases from way back when. And, a lot of it is kind of, it's the sort of thing, you'd go into the record store and it would be under the counter, or maybe out in the back room. You might not be able to get it over the counter. But he's just had a new retrospective in which he's had an official release for a lot of his stuff. And, he was famous back in the 80s for doing these lessons, which were kind of short hip-hop mixes. And this is one of them. So it is, it's a conglomeration of other people's work, but the Steinsky stamp is all over it. And this one's called Lesson 3, and it's the history of hip hop.
That's Tiny Dan's musical choice on this week's Steve Show. What was it again, Tiny Dan?
That was Lesson 3, open brackets, history of hip hop, close brackets, by Steinsky.
And you say that Steinsky's previous releases have generally been under the counter.
Well, he's done a lot of
Is the reason, Dan, that you've found out about Steinsky because the only releases you can see are the ones under the counter?
Yeah.
Because of your incredible tininess.
Well, no, that wouldn't work, would it? Because when I go in the record shop, the front of the counter would be wooden, and I wouldn't be able to see through it, and they'd be hidden on the other side. I might be able to, run underneath the little door that they have next to the desk and scamper in there like a small beetle. And
well, I imagine you as very much sort of a bit like Jerry from Tom and Jerry. I imagine that you're just running around,
not as evil.
hijinks.
When I was in New York, I hated it because the last thing I need is to feel even smaller. But all those buildings and everything, and the sandwiches are enormous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt even smaller.
Yeah, well, this is good. This is why you now live in a model village.
Yes, exactly. Legoland.
No, so listen, I was on the plane, I had 6 hours, 7 hours, and I was stewing on this idea. This is a legitimate business idea. It's not an amusing joke. This is genuinely think there's money to be made here. I want you to picture yourself as sort of Dragon Den style investors, right? You've got a substantial sum of money, and give this some serious thought, right? Okay. I was at a wedding a while back. Nice little wedding. Nice ceremony. We got past the bit where the vicar says, is there any reason why these two people should not be married? Speak now. There's always that slightly awkward silence, a little bit of nervous laughter. No one put their hand up. And then, of course, just babies started crying. Little kids, babies. And it was one of the loudest wedding ceremonies I've been to. Just so much crying. Parents not really taking their kids out of the room. Just kind of really, it's difficult to concentrate on the vows. So here's my idea. It's some kind of crash service provided at weddings, right? Maybe you pull up in, a sort of minibus or something, you've got stuff in there for kids to do, face painting, drawings, all that sort of stuff, right? A couple of responsible people. And, it's laid on by the wedding. You put your kids in there at the beginning of the ceremony. You can leave them in there maybe the whole day. You can enjoy things, have a little dance, get, drunk, whatever. And then you pick them at the end of the day, boom. Guess what? This is the best thing about it. The name is brilliant. The Wedding Crashers.
Huh? Did you come up with the name first? And
no,
I
came up with the name after I'd come up with the idea, which is, I think, the way you're supposed to do it.
Yeah.
Now, Harry, you are a man who has been to a business conference recently.
Yeah.
You've probably met a lot of big financiers.
Yeah.
What do you think?
It's a good idea, but aren't people doing this already, kind of independently? Our friends Phil and Alex, who got married yesterday. Congratulations, by the way, Phil and Alex. They had a crash at their wedding.
Dan, would you like to give me some money for my idea?
Yeah, I'm a little bit short at the moment with the credit crunch, but I can probably give you 20 quid.
Right. I'm presuming, Sammy, you don't have any cash to give?
Not even a penny. They went in one of those magic machines at the supermarket and got turned into my week's shopping.
Are you saying the creche is actually in the church, or is it like a travelling?
No, it's a mobile creche.
Yeah, it's an awful idea.
Aren't children part of the ceremony quite often, like flower girls and page boys?
No. They always ruin it. They're always bawling, and people are like, oh, we must have the kids there. They don't remember. They don't care. They want to be watching Rugrats or something. This is what I'm saying. You lay on the creche. You what?
Then hire a DVD.
Well, where are you showing the DVD? You've got to have someone looking after the kids. No, you've got to have the creche, the mobile. You need a bloke with a van. What if there's one thing parents want to do? It's leave their kids in a van with some bloke they've never met.
It's
Maybe
a
an
rubbish
inflatable
idea.
ball pool, something like that, to keep them interested, yeah. I don't know, there's a slight amount of merit. I think you need to do a lot more work on this. Come up with a proper business plan.
But you're telling me that you've been to a wedding, they do already have it?
Yeah,
They already have a creche. So, so it is a good idea.
Many weddings, they have them already.
But the name wouldn't be as good, would it? I think that's where you can make yourself a market leader.
Yeah, you might want to just go out and sell the name to one of these existing wedding creche organisers.
Well, I actually, oddly enough, I did bump into one of the Dragon's Den. A lavish showbiz do. Mentioned it to him. He thought it was crap as well. So, I don't know why I brought it up, really. I'm the only, no, I know I was going to say nasty things, but, that would be absurd, because none of it's true, and also we'd get into trouble. It's a Sunday afternoon, I didn't want to get offensive. Let's hear from Lamo.
BBC6 Music.
I think he plays some records as well. So then, a musical choice from you, Sammy.
Yeah, and sadly it isn't dad-based today, because I've used up all the music that my dad likes that is Six music friendly. Everything aside from that is, just unlistenable. So I've had to go for something else, but I do, there is a deep dad intent there. Happy Father's Day, you lovely man. I've actually gone for something that's released tomorrow.
Ooh.
I'm right on it today.
You really are.
New music. And I've gone for the Rascals. People have probably heard it before, but if you haven't got into the Rascals, I strongly recommend you get their new album. It's fantastic. Obviously, Miles Kane, half of The Last Shadow Puppets. So if you like that, you'll love them. And this is Freak Beat Phantom.
Thank you. Sammy, you said it was released tomorrow. What the hell was it?
It was Freak Beat Phantom by the Rascals. And like you say, they are very Arctic Monkeys sounding, but is that a bad thing?
Well, no, because the Arctic Monkeys shift a lot of records.
Exactly.
That's why I try my hardest to sound like Steve Wright in the Afternoon. Round of applause for that. He's got millions of listeners. So you remember a couple of weeks back, after I came back from my excursions to Vietnam and Cambodia, brought with me quite the dapper hat. It caused quite a stir here in the studio. A lot of people, perhaps, I was going to say, were they fans of it? You generally were negative.
It was ridiculous.
Well, you said it was ridiculous. You seemed, Rufus, to have specific problems with the brim.
It was the width of the brim width was what I got particularly worried about.
Sammy was annoyed by the material.
It was Neo Wicker.
Did you say it was Neo Wicker? Neo Wicker.
Neo Wicker.
And Harry, you just generally hate everything.
Yeah.
So listen, while I was in NYC, a guy sold me a hat. Hey, it's the best you've ever looked. Wear this, it's the best you ever looked. It was not how he sounded. But anyway, he flogged me a hat, and I brought it with me. I want you to see. It's along similar lines.
Okay.
But perhaps
Perhaps it fits you.
Well, I just wonder whether the brim is sufficiently wide, etc.
Should we all spin round so you can have a reveal?
Trying to think what the best way to do this is. I quite like to squeeze in Jeremy Wormsley before the news. That's the problem.
Yeah. Just put it on.
I think I'll squeeze in Warmo, and then we can we'll have some news, and then we'll discuss hats after that. Wow, if that doesn't keep people listening, I don't know what will. Another guy whose flow was impeccable, the late ODB featuring Achilles, and that's Got Your Money from 1999. It's the Steve Show, BBC6 Music with me, Steve Merchant, and my little gang here. We got Harry.
Hello.
Works in a bank. Rufus.
What's up?
Posh. And Sammy.
Hiya.
Northern. So there we are. Here we are. And yes, you may recall a couple of weeks back came in with the hat. It was dynamite. Everyone agreed. Except the people here in the studio. They thought it was laughable. You may have seen photographs of it in a popular weekend newspaper a couple of weeks back as well. Actually in situ in Cambodia. So maybe you've drawn your own conclusions. So bought myself a new hat stateside in the United States of New York. The city of apples, the big angel. And so here's now your chance, guys, to see if I've done better second time round. I'm trying to think, what's the best? Are you going to close your eyes and then?
Okay,
Close your eyes and I'll get it. I'll put it on. Okay. Is the webcam working? Do we know? Okay. So once again, this is a great opportunity for there to be some interactivity. You can check out the new hat on the webcam. Okay, just because it's a bit crumpled, bit crunched. Okay, ready, guys? Go. What are you talking about? What? I did not expect laughter. I can't BS you. I did not expect laughter.
It is Wicker. That's not Neo Wicker. It's Wicker.
It's not Wicker. This is what is happening in the hat world right now, Sammy.
Is it not a bit too small?
It's
problem-
perched.
How is it? What are you talking about?
Keep
Small.
underestimating the size of your
I
massive
would
head.
say this is too big. I would genuinely say this is too big.
It's perched atop your head like
Are
a
you
cherry
joking?
on a cake.
Are you having an absolute?
It's perched on the top of your head.
This is how these hats are worn.
no,
Yes, it is. We're not living in the 1950s. It's not Mad Men where we're all wearing trilbies that come down over our eyes. What's happening in Hatland at the moment is that people are wearing them perched atop their crown.
You're not in Hatland. You're in elastic chin strap land.
Yeah,
What are you talking
If you go
about?
out in a
Cowboy hat.
light breeze, it's going to blow off your
That's
head.
it's the perfect fit. Look, you can see how far it's come down on the hat. I shouldn't even be wearing it that tight.
Is it a child's hat?
You do not know what you are talking about. You are some of the least informed people when it comes to hat wearing that I have ever had the
I like
misfortune of being in a room with.
There's a ribboned band, which is very nice.
Do you prefer the width of the brim?
Yeah, the width of the brim is more adequate. It's got a good 1.5 inches on it. The other one had about kind of quarter half-inch brim. That wasn't right.
I disagree with the notion that this is too small.
I think you look like a kind of shabby, low-rent detective on holiday.
At last, at last, that's what I've always wanted to look like. No, I really have to take issue with you. What I'd like you to do, get on the web, look up some well-known hat wearers, maybe a Doherty, the like, see what's happening in the hat world at the moment, because I swear to God, it is this. This is what's happening.
Is that what the man told you in New York?
The guy told me, this is the best you've ever looked. That's what he said to me. He said, it was the best I'd ever looked.
Had he
Really?
seen you in the previous hat?
I was wearing it probably at the time. He obviously could tell there was a certain vein I liked in my hats. How many hats am I going to have to buy before I get your approval? Are you going to have to come hat shopping with
One
me?
that fits?
This is just so out of order.
Yeah.
That one there, that picture of Pete Doherty, that hat is pulled down firmly towards that man's ears. That is a hat that fits.
You don't pull a hat down over your ears. What kind of...
Towards his ears, you've got an inch before your ear starts.
What are you talking about? There it is. It's almost touching the ear.
No, just because you pulled it down onto your ears.
Yeah.
Well, but you don't want a hat that's like just sloppy, that's hanging up. Not these kind of hats. They're supposed to be slightly smaller and slightly, sort of pork pie.
If you lean it back, then you can have a couple of clear inches above your eyebrow, like Frank
Yeah.
Sinatra on the cover of
Right.
Slightly to
Songs for
one
Swinging
side,
Lovers.
jaunty. That's maybe
That's slightly better.
yeah.
But if you're going to have it flat on your head, it's got to be almost level with your eyebrows, I think.
That's nonsense. I don't think you know what you're talking about. If you have an opinion on hats, if you know about hats, check out the webcam, let me know. But these people do not know what they're talking about, and it actually sickens and annoys me.
Text us on 64046 or email stephen.sixmusic@bbc.co.uk.
Harry, let's have your musical choice while we discuss this hat thing further.
Oh, yeah. My choice this week, I've got to be honest, I know very little about this artist. I could have Wikipedia'd him, come up with a whole load of spiel that might not even be true, but I'm not going to kid people. I genuinely know nothing about him. I picked up this track on a compilation, and I picked it for Father's Day because it mentions QPR supporters, of which me and my dad are too. This is Bevis Frond with Waving.
To the toilet.
He probably has, yeah.
I remember you having a hissy fit once, because I've known Harry a long time. I remember
Barely a week goes by without me having one.
Remember we used to drive to... No, this was a legitimate huff, I remember. Remember when we were at the pub once and you were driving, not drinking and driving, just driving.
Yeah,
He was driving.
just
He's a designated driver.
Yeah.
And we were driving up the hill and a beer barrel came rolling down the hill. Do you remember that?
I was furious.
Some drunkard. Some drunkard had taken a couple of empty beer barrels to the top of this hill.
Yeah.
You were driving up from the pub.
I was driving. It was a very, very narrow lane, so you couldn't swerve to miss this barrel as it was coming down towards the car. So we started reversing, couldn't get away from it, sort of edged into the wall a little bit, so it dented my mum's car, which I wasn't happy with. But yeah, I threw a massive strop, got out of the car, and threw my keys.
Threw his car keys as far as he could. Like, this is going to teach them a lesson. This will teach you ne'er-do-wells a lesson.
Blind rage. Up this tiny pitch black. There were no lights. All we had was the light of the moon.
But I remember, what was great was, I remember everyone else in the car and you stormed off in order to get into a rumpus with whoever had thrown the beer barrel, and I stayed behind and went, I'll look for the keys. Why not? Northern Soul Gem from Marlena Shaw. That's Let's Wade in the Water. We'll have a musical choice from Harry after this.
Stephen Merchant on Six Music.
Thank you very much, love. So, a musical choice from Harry.
See, you accuse me of sexism. You just called her love, and you just sent Sammy out to make you some tea.
Hey, thank you, biatch. What? Hey, you can't say that. Are you drinking my tea, Sammy? No. Do you want a slap, woman?
Honest to promise.
Why you don't drink tea, do you?
Today I am.
Blimey,
You've got to try new things. It's a world of wonders.
She's mixing it up. Okay, musical choice.
Yeah, well, I was away last week, so I was in New York. I can't just go on normal holidays like normal people. I'm never off duty. I'm like a policeman. I'm like Superman. Maybe I'm Batman. I don't know.
Sure.
How would I know? So yeah, I go to New York. Obviously, financial crisis, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. That's all going on. So I'm glued to the business channels. But it's not just that. I got 2 jobs. My other job is coming in here, finding out about new music.
Seeking it out.
Yeah. So one night in New York, we went over to New Jersey. We went to Maxwell's. We saw the Dirt Bombs play, who people who listen a lot will know I'm a big fan of. And the support act were a band called Titus Andronicus.
Ooh, it sounds pretentious.
It's incredibly pretentious. One of the most pretentious bands I've ever seen.
And you've seen some absolute nutters.
Oh, I've seen some lunatics. Now, you're going to hate this, but I think this is quite a good tune. This is Titus Andronicus by Titus Andronicus.
Named after the popular Shakespeare play of the same name. It is, of course, Titus Andronicus, and the track was Titus Andronicus, is that right?
From the album The Airing of Grievances.
Oh, wow.
But bless them, they were really, 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 really good live band, and if anyone ever gets a chance to see them, I recommend them wholeheartedly.
I've got mixed feelings about that band name, because I have this very specific test, which is I always imagine maybe it's a giant stadium, it's maybe Wembley, and you're introducing the headline act, okay, and I've been called on to do that. And I just have a simple test, which is to imagine that the crowd is wild. Can you envisage, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Titus Andronicus! And, and there's some bands for which that works, incredibly well, and others, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, the Franken Walters. It's never going to be a stadium-filling band. If you have a band, incidentally, and you'd like to have this test, because it's a very good test of whether or not your band name is ever... I actually do think there's a lot to be said. They say don't judge a book by its cover. Absolutely judge a band by its name.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Blur would not have been Blur if they were still called Seymour.
No, absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the backstage, Seymour.
Yeah,
no,
but
terrible.
Equally, on a T-shirt, Titus Andronicus, you're going to get props from people who know about crazy New Jersey indie rock, but also you're going to be getting props from...
Say Stephen Fry.
Yeah, of course.
Exactly.
He'll love you, and it'll be great.
But yes, I'm in mixed feelings about Titus Andronicus. I don't know. It's pretty pretentious.
It's pretty pretentious.
But then again, there's others, and I don't know. For instance, would you, according to my test, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, U2. I don't know. It's difficult to say, but if you have a band that you would like to have the Steve name test, by all means get in touch, 64046. What's the email?
It's stephen.6music@bbc.co.uk, and me and Sammy will be the Wembley crowd.
You'll be the Wembley crowd.
And we will either cheer or boo.
We'll see what the reaction is, but it is a genuinely excellent litmus test, because you always have to think one step ahead. Remember, in the height of Britpop, most of the bands that we were fans of, they all had a very distinctive sort of lettering.
Yeah.
Someone had spent a lot of time working out the band name, how it was going to be spelt, what font it was going to be. Do they still do that, Sammy? You speak for the youth.
Yeah, bands actually invent fonts that you can then sneakily download on the internet.
Right, sure. So it still goes on. So yeah, if you are got a band, maybe you've just or maybe you're still having problems with the name, get in touch. Tell us what your current maybe top 5 is, and we will help you decide. Because there's, for instance, The Smiths, fantastic band name.
Yeah.
The.
Terrible.
Oh, it's awful. That's an awful name, isn't it?
But Johnny Marr went from the Smiths to the.
Yeah.
What? That makes sense.
Don't worry, that sentence was all thought through.
Yeah.
Brackets. That was pure coincidence. I don't know what's happened there, but someone's not put the radio-friendly version in of Paris, Gorilla Funk. For goodness sake, are we running a... I've got clean versions of every single song.
Yeah.
You know me, I'm
some that you've made yourself.
Listen, I'm like the Disney Corporation for cleanliness and family values. You know that. That's how I roll.
Yeah.
I would never say, I'd always say, you dirty MF.
Of course,
if I'm ever in that scenario where I've got to accuse someone of being an MF, I'd never say the full sentence.
It's Christmas dinner.
Exactly.
You're around the table.
Once again,
Exactly. You've run out of gravy.
Exactly.
Dad.
My father, I'm asking him to pass the sprouts. He's failed to do so. Damn it, you MF.
Ron, you absolute
absolute MF, I say. And I'm accurate.
Yeah,
but it's not.
appropriate at that
Exactly.
time.
You're accurate, but it's not going to upset everyone else around the
Exactly,
table.
exactly. But so I can only apologise if you heard some effing and blind in
There's
there.
a lot of swearing in
There's
there
an
as
awful
well.
lot of swearing,
There's a
actually.
huge amount of swearing.
Because I've got the clean version on a CD here in my bag, so I could whip that out any minute if you want.
Yeah, it's
and
mostly
put that back
like
on.
boings and sound effects, isn't it? So you've got to get rid of most of the words.
Yeah, I do it mainly myself. Whoops! There's lots of, and, what's it called? One of those penny whistles or whatever they are. So yeah, I do. But as I say, I mean, you'd have thought that there'd be some top level inquiries going on now. I imagine even now to see whose heads are gonna roll.
Are we still on air?
I don't know. I don't know if we're still on air now. I imagine that we've already clicked into some kind of safety track.
Yeah, if we're still on air, text in 640.
Yeah, let us know, because we're presuming we've been pulled off.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a
don't.
shame, because I've suddenly got blue.
Yeah.
But I'm imagining that they've put something on, it's a very calming voice. Maybe Paul Gambaccini is on right now, just running through the top 40 American album chart.
Gambo would never swear.
He would never make a mistake like that, and he would not allow a tune to be played on the air that's got Evan and Blinding in it.
Yeah.
You know, because it would be, I don't know, he's probably playing perhaps something from the Bee Gees.
Yeah.
Right now, or Shelby Lynn. I don't even know who that is. Don't even know who that is. Saw her name on a poster. I thought, I must remember Shelby Lynn, that's a nice name. And finally I've got to use it. After a year of broadcasting, I finally got to mention Shelby Lynn's name. Okay, so let's salvage this. Let's dig ourselves out of this hole with a musical choice from Sammy. Let's hope it's not got any swearing in it.
You wouldn't find these fellas effing and blind on record. I've gone right back to the 70s, 1971. My mum was still a child. She was a tiny child. I've been listening to a lot of Fleet Foxes, and it reminds me an awful lot of Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, so I thought I'd play my favourite Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young song, and it's Find the Cross of Freedom.
Thank you very much indeed, and apologies again if you heard some blue language. Not my fault. Sure. What, to be fearful of murderers and rapists?
Well, that's
I think
fairly rational.
I think
No,
that's
but
a decent-
spiders, you're allowed an irrational
That's a
fear.
decent...
Yeah, see, I've got a tool at home, because my girlfriend doesn't like spiders, so we bought one of these spider catchers, because old school, you get a glass, don't you?
Sure.
Put the newspaper in,
Complicated.
it's like, whereas this, it's kind of a thing, it's about 3 foot long, it's got a brush on the end, you press a trigger, and it catches the spider in the brushes. They can't get out, they're trapped, their little legs are going, but they're not going anywhere, and then you just take them outside, press the trigger again, spider falls out, he's not injured, he's had a little adventure, and the spider's out of the house. Everyone's fine. So yeah, there are things available to get rid of spiders, but nothing, it would seem, on the market to get rid of murderers and rapists.
No, apparently not. Once again, science has let us down. Scientists in laboratories, they're working day and night to get rid of spiders. Rapists and murderers, just letting them run free.
Exactly.
Typical,
Come
makes
in.
you wonder. Typical government. What are they financing? Oh, let's have a go at the government. Oh, come on. Let's do some bloody satire on a Sunday. Or maybe not, let's just play some Marvin Gaye, one of the two. From 1976, Marvin Gaye and I Want You, written of course by Motown songwriter Leon Ware, and also Diana Ross's younger brother, Arthur T-Boy Ross, for all trivia fans out there. Later of course found murdered in a basement, that crime never been solved. We'll try and solve it after this. I've been sifting through the evidence and there is no new leads, so we'll have to leave it there.
Gutted.
Yes, Tiny Dan, musical choice from you, please.
Musical choice from me. Do you know what? This is my little ode to dusting off a dusty old classic in the collection, because I was ferreting around this week in amongst the spiders trying to find a decent old record, and I unearthed Money Mark. I don't know if you know him. He's the guy, played keyboards, done a solo album, and his album Push the Button was released 10 years ago. I can't believe it.
Really?
I was gutted, yeah. Because that made me feel old. But then I cheered myself up by listening to it, and I'd forgotten what an absolute blinder of an album it was. It's probably the album that's most like me in my collection, in that it's kind of agreeable and laid back. It's a little bit odd at times, but most of all, it's very, very simple.
Sure.
And this is the second track from it, and it's an absolute summer belter, and it's called Two Like You.
Dan's musical choice on this week's show. What was it again, Dan?
It was Money Mark and Two Like You from the Push the Button album, which was out 10 years ago.
Extraordinary. Give us a quick tennis update for those that care.
Tennis update is that, oh my goodness, Nadal has taken the first set against Federer, which is a shock, tennis fans, because Federer, of course, is the king of grass at Wimbledon on tennis, but he's lost the first set, 6-4, which is a big big rev, if you don't mind me saying.
Thank you very much indeed. We'll have more of that, I'm sure, as and when
Yes,
we
when it
remember
happens.
to mention it. Remember we used to do Mr. Cover, and we used to play a great cover version.
Yes.
Great days.
And a lot of people said, that was the highlight of the Steve show for them. They tuned in every week just for that. And then for a while we dropped it, always leave them wanting more. I've revived it for 1 week only.
really?
Fun little cover version of Daft Punk. As done by the Mobius Band, a sort of eclectic electronica, rocky sort of three-piece from the States. And this was turned on to me by Vic Sharma, Web Guru. And I think you'll enjoy it. Maybe you can give me the jingle.
Mr. Cover.
Ooh, that's why we stopped it, I remember.
That is why, yeah.
Mobius Band and their version of Digital Love by Daft Punk. And that was recorded as part of a sort of Valentine's Day cover EP, and you can download it free from the Mobius Band website, www.mobiusband.com. So, news shortly. We're back after the news with chat, maybe a sideways look at the week's news, and also, of course, the Zombies in session, so look forward to that. Back after the news.
On digital.
You've got to be pleased to hear that one again, haven't you?
Oh,
Mr. Dobalina.
How's that?
Oh, that, my friend, is from 1991. First album from Del the Funky Homo Sapien. Only 19 years old.
Yeah.
And got his break, of course, because he was the cousin of Dan.
Oh,
The cousin of Dan.
No,
it wasn't me. Trevor McDonald?
It wasn't McDonald, actually. It was Ice Cube.
Oh,
so close. You were so close. But yes, real name, of course, Terran Delvon Jones. And performed recently, still making albums, but performed recently guest appearance on Who's Records.
Oh,
Come on, Tiny Dan. You're supposed to be a hip-hop fan.
It was it was Jay-Z, obviously.
Oh, shut
I
up.
don't know, do I?
It was maybe the man of the moment.
Gorillaz?
It was Gorillaz, of course. Well done. Yes. So there we are. The trivia fans there. Just give them a second to note that down.
So I'm 2-1 down now.
Yes,
Because
you
I've
are.
got Magnus Pike, and then I've
embarrassed
McDonald,
yourself.
I've Jay-Z'd, I've embarrassed myself.
Pathetic.
haven't
Don't worry about it. Don't feel bad. It's the Steve Show 6 Music with me, and got a bit of a cold here, so apologies while I just blow my nose. Harry, if you could just fail for a second.
Yeah, well, the tennis is still going quite well. It's now 3-love to Federer in the second
I thought
set.
that was my bag.
No, you've embarrassed yourself with
this
all
is
your
my
with your lack of
Yeah, but I can't
knowledge.
get this
Shut
one.
up.
I'm just
shocker.
Fade him down.
Shocker.
That's off. He's off.
Yeah, so no, it's an interesting game, really. It could be going at 1-1, and the first set was, 48 minutes? So we could be looking at a very, very long afternoon of tennis. It won't be finished by the time we're off air, and McConey's not going to give you any updates.
That's true enough. But he will be giving us some eclectic music.
Oh, great.
Possibly the theme tune to an obscure 60s TV show. We look forward to that. We a couple of weeks back we had a caller on the phone, and sometimes it's difficult to know what to say to a caller. You've not had a chance to speak to him before, get to know him and stuff. And so we just fired a bunch of questions, and I think it enlivened the show. It gave us a new dimension, gave us a way of instantly getting under the skin of the caller. It was, some people are saying, Dynamite Radio.
It was.
For those of you that missed it, I'm sure it's on the Listen Again feature or something. It'll probably be a Sony Award winning. But have you ever watched the TV programme Inside the Actors Studio?
I've seen it, yeah.
You've seen it. James Lipton interviews various famous Hollywood stars, and at the end he always asks them the same set of questions, which is based on the questions, as he always points out, by Bernard Pivot, who is a French interviewer and whatnot. And he in turn based his questions on a series of questions that were popular in the late 19th century, that were famously popularised by Proust, Marcel Proust, who is a writer and stuff. So anyway, so it occurred to me that what we should do is, and this could be great for a future when we've got bands coming in, we've got callers, we've got special guests, we'll just bring out our own Steve Show set of questions, right, that is carefully honed in order to fulfill the specifications of the average Six Music listener, okay? Us here, what we want to do is we want to get under the mind, under the skin. Can you get under the mind of someone?
No.
Well, you can now. That'll be question one. Can you get under the mind of someone? But we just, as I said, I want to create the perfect set of questions, probably about 10 questions. You give very quick answers, you have to react instinctively, and hopefully that will reveal a little something about the person. You know, let's say Morrissey is in here, you know, and we I don't know what question we would ask him. You know, what's your favourite cat? Oh, I don't know. You know, and he'd have some, you know, stupid answer, presumably. So anyway, so I'm looking for suggestions from the listeners as to what those questions can be. I will give you a flavour of what Pivot and the rest of them ask. So, for instance, Lipton's questions, it's stuff like this. Harry, I'm coming to you straight away. What's your least favourite word?
Never.
That's exactly the kind of nonsense that people on the show say. Sammy, what turns you on?
I don't want to go into too much detail on this
You've got
one.
to just answer instinctively. Don't be thinking about it. That ruins
Beaches.
beaches turn you on. Is that what kind of beaches? What
Beaches at sunset. Still, calm, warm, summer's evening.
That's not bitches, you're saying. Beaches.
Not bitches.
Okay.
No hose.
What turns
Beaches.
you on?
Bitches.
Okay. Harry, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive?
All right, H, those tricks.
What, in that kind of accent as well?
The soft kind of West
I wonder if he
Country
has got a Western. I wonder if his accent changes depending on who is at the gate. So it would be for me, yeah. All right, me. All right, Steve. I don't believe him, Babber. Come on in. That'd be great.
Yeah.
You don't know. That's the great things about the big man. We just don't know what he's thinking. Dan, what sound do you hate?
Polystyrene.
You hate polystyrene.
Polystyrene. Not just by itself. When it squeaks against something else.
Okay. All right. So, Sammy, what is your idea of earthly happiness?
Sitting in a bathtub full of angel delight, listening to Gomez on a summer's day with a winning lottery ticket in my left hand.
It's interesting that you had that just to hand. You've been asked this question many times before.
I've given different answers, but that right now, that would make me so happy.
You'd be pleased with that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Actually, I might throw that one to Harry, because, of course, we know him to be generally quite a depressive and boring man. What's your idea of earthly happiness?
Get me bike back.
Simple pleasures for a simple man. Dan, one final one for you. Your favourite...
Oh, no.
This is from the Proust Questionnaire. Your favourite painter?
The bloke who does Dennis the Menace.
The guy who draws Dennis the Menace?
I don't remember what his name was.
Okay, all right. Well, anyway, that gives you a flavour of the sort of questions. But what we need to do is we need to drop our own list that we can put to people in the future. So you can get in touch this way.
Text us on 64046 or email stephen.sixmusic@bbc.co.uk.
We'll give you a suggestion of the sort of things that we're expecting after we've heard some musical choices from Harry. Something unusual is going on today, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I'm off next week. Having been the victim of crime this week, I'm going to a city where there's absolutely no crime, New York. So that should be quite good fun. So I'm going to miss next week's show. So I've decided to play 2 tracks this week. 2 very, very short tracks. I'm not taking up anyone's time, no more than usual. So 2 short tracks. First one is off the new Silver Jews album, which is called Lookout Mountain, Lookout Sea. And the track is Aloysius Bluegrass Drummer. The second track is by Micah P. Hinson, and that track is called When We Embraced.
Thank you. 2 musical choices from Harry this week. Remind us again, Harry, if you would, of what they were.
They were Aloysius Bluegrass Drummer by Silver Jews and When We Embraced by Micah P. Hinson.
Excellent tunes, thank you very much indeed. So we're looking to draw up a list of questions, the Steve Show Questionnaire, which we will direct to any future caller and also any future guests, bands. I think, again, if maybe your favourite band comes in, or if there's a question that's generic enough to get under their skin, see inside them, what makes them tick.
Their mind.
So we've been drawing up a list of questions of our own, which are sort of suggestions as to what you might like to suggest. Harry, you've got a few.
How far can you run without stopping?
I'm not sure about that. How far can you run without stopping?
Somebody likes it.
Yeah, but I don't. What does that reveal? Health,
the
general
athleticism of the individual concerned. All right, you'll like this one. When was the last time you wrote a letter, and to whom?
Okay,
People don't write letters anymore.
That's true. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
What's the point of henna tattoos?
Sure, I think that's a general question. I'm not sure that will elicit.
People could have their own slant.
Yeah, it's not quite existential enough.
No,
for me,
I think
if you don't
you're
mind me
right.
saying.
Well, this one is. What's the biggest thing you've ever eaten?
What's the biggest thing you've ever
Biggest
eaten?
thing you've ever eaten?
Right. What would your answer be?
I haven't thought about it. It's a tough one, actually, isn't it?
It is.
I
What a
don't think I
great
like
question.
that question.
What's the biggest thing you've ever eaten?
Yeah, what's the biggest
I
thing?
don't think you're totally in tune with this. This is not what you would ask Marcel
Does it-
Proust.
Does
Well,
it
no,
have
he's
to
not
be
gonna pop in,
like
is
a
he?
large thing, like a gigantic Yorkshire pudding? Or
Yeah,
can
that
it be
would
many things together, i.e. a tin of Quality Streets?
Yes.
Oh, well, then I don't know which one, because I've had both of them.
Round of applause, surely. Magnificent. Teddy Thompson performing live on the Steve Show. So that was wonderful, Teddy. Thank you so much. Is the album quite stripped down in acoustic, or is
No, it's sort of the opposite. Actually, you're getting a glimpse into the broken down version,
Sure.
stripped down
Yeah.
version.
This is more like that would be like perhaps hearing an exclusive demo.
Something like that. Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. This
Yeah.
is how they sounded before we messed them all up by putting drums and keyboards and
Sure.
hand claps and children's choirs and stuff. Like that.
Yes. Is it that overblown and preposterous?
Yeah.
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 Well, we're looking
Yeah,
forward to
really
it
is.
enormously.
Yeah.
That's going to be
Way
fantastic.
over the top. Yeah.
No, seriously, is it? There's a fuller
quite,
sound.
Yeah, it's quite big. It's quite. Yeah, we definitely delved into the production side of things. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff on it. I mean, hopefully it doesn't take away from the
voice,
from the songs and the voice and the profile
and just the great looks.
Yeah.
And listen, we have a series of questions which we've been compiling,
Okay.
which are sort of we can apply to anyone who comes in.
So you haven't done any extra work for me.
No.
Okay.
And so it's hopefully an effort to try and get under your skin. You know, just first reaction that comes to your head. Don't be thinking too much about it. Just
Trying
boom.
to piss me off.
No. What? Eh? No.
Get under my skin immediately. Just go for the.
Well, just I suppose. Have you ever seen Inside the Actor's Studio?
No.
Right. Okay. Well. Anyway, it's brilliant, and this is also brilliant.
Okay.
Okay. So just first instinct, first answer. Okay. What would you ban?
Smoking.
Okay. They've already banned that.
Have they? See, I just said that because ban smoking. I've heard it a lot.
Sure.
Yeah. So it's been done, has it?
I'm afraid that's already been done by the government, by the man.
Hasn't a lighter just fallen out of your pocket there?
Is that what? It has, yeah. That's what the noise was.
Are you sure? Maybe he's just going to see Coldplay later.
Very nice.
Well, what I meant was ban smoking for me.
Okay.
Yeah. No smoking anymore for me, no matter what.
Okay.
Yeah. Public place or otherwise.
Well, good luck with that.
Thanks.
It's really only you that can work with that one.
Yeah.
What advice would you give your teenage self?
Don't smoke.
If you could jump into any film and live the life depicted in that film, what film would you choose?
The Incredibles.
The Incredibles?
Yes. Because it was on the other night, and I was thinking, where's The Incredibles 2? Because it was a few years ago now. It was such a good one. Such a good animated movie. And I just want to be... I think I'd like to be the woman, which is not unusual, because she could stretch, the mother could stretch herself around things, which I quite liked.
That would be useful to you?
Yeah, you could reach around, I could reach around right now and just pick up your cup of coffee.
Pick up my cup of coffee, or give me a
change the buttons on your screen or something.
Yeah. That really is a heck of a superpower. Good to see you using it wisely.
Could also be accomplished with one of those old TV poke remote control hand scripts things.
Yeah. That's basically, was it Mr. Tickle?
Yeah.
Of the Mr. Men.
Yeah,
That's basically the same power.
Tickle.
Yeah, you want to be Mr. Tickle. Yeah. Maybe we should add that to our list of questions. Which Mr. Men? Which Mr. Man?
That's why actually when I was in the studio making the album, I saw the Mr. Men books, and I bought each person that I was working with the Mr. Man that I thought was appropriate to them.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it was always a no-brainer for me, Mr. Tall.
There was Mr. Tall.
There was a Mr. Tall,
Doesn't
yeah.
sound like an interesting one.
No, again, I think that was one of the least good selling of the Mr. Men. I always like the look of Mr. Bump.
Yeah.
I was thinking, how has he got those bandages? What has he done?
Oh, yeah.
What has he been up
Heavy
to?
drinker,
yeah,
Mr. Bump.
Bumpy. Oh, very much the Amy Winehouse of the Mr. Men world. If you could exchange lives with anyone, who would it be?
That's a really good question. I think probably Barack Obama.
Really, you'd like to be Barack?
Yeah.
Although there's a lot of people saying that he'd almost certainly be assassinated.
Oh,
so
that puts
a bit down on
then.
it. Think things through, Teddy.
Sorry, yeah. I'm just very influenced by what's in papers. Smoking, Barack Obama.
Clearly, yeah.
Whatever was in the paper this morning is the answers you
Sure.
should get.
Yeah. What wakes you up in a cold sweat? Do you have like a recurring nightmare?
Yeah, it's mostly to do with losing the ability to play and sing, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have a lot of nightmares about sort of they're very thinly, veiled allegorical stories, but there's usually something like, I can't get my trousers on. So it's obviously
I can't get
something.
my trousers on.
I can't get my trousers on, but therefore I can't do the gig.
I see. Yes, of course.
So it's something that stops me from being able to do what I'm supposed to be doing.
Hasn't stopped you, Steve, in the past, has it?
Not at all. It doesn't stop me. It's one of the highlights of my act now.
Yeah.
Is the trouserless moment. And finally, what past deed would you go back and change of the things you've done in the past?
Oof, gosh,
it's tricky, but we really are trying to get to the inner Teddy.
I think I treated some people badly. I suppose girlfriend. I treated one girlfriend in particular very badly.
Really? Why?
So
What did you do?
Probably go back and redress that.
What did you do?
I can't say.
You can't tell us?
I can't tell you.
Just hint. Just give us one key word.
Best friend.
Oh!
That's 2 words.
That's 2 words. Ooh.
I think Teddy had won over a lot of female admirers prior to that. Turns out he's a love rat.
Well, but were they really that good friends? Obviously not.
They weren't afterwards, were they?
He's turned it back on at her. And if we probe deeper, all we hear is 200 camels. Oh, well, listen, we better win back our female listeners with a musical song. A musical song played by music.
Right.
What's this one, Teddy?
Well, this is the single. This is called In My Arms, which
Fantastic.
This doesn't really bode well for the female listeners either. Here we go.
Fantastic. Lovely, Teddy. Thank you so much. Have a lovely holiday.
All right, take care.
All the best, my sweetheart, my loveler. I'm just trying to sound a bit kind of corny.
Loveler.
My loveler. Oh, lovely. You not heard Loveler? Come on, grow up. How do you get in touch, Harry, if you have a musical choice?
Well, what you do, Steve, you go to the Six Music website, bbc.co.uk/Six Music, with all its exciting new fonts from the revamp. You'd find the homepage for the Steve Show, and you click on the recommend a track thing.
Thank you very much indeed. Beautifully done by an absolute pro. Before we hear a tune from Mason Jennings, we were talking about the woman who tried to open the jet door at 30,000 feet, and we had one of those. I don't normally refer to the kind of snide texts and emails.
We get a lot.
We do get a lot, I know. And if I talked about them all, then we'd never get to any new music. But someone's just texted in. It was the cockpit door, dumbass. Well, I'm sorry, whoever that person is. Number ending
anonymous texter ending 75.
But I'm only basing my information on the front page of the Observer, which refers to it as an emergency exit. So I do apologise that unless I'm presuming that person, the only way they can know it was the cockpit door is if they are actually the drunken woman who did it. So well done, you vodka swilling dumbass. Camcorder. We're going to get the camcorder down. We're going to have that on the web by 5:05 next Sunday. That's how exciting that will be. Listen, we need to give our verdict on some big new releases, and they don't come much bigger than this. Oasis, remixed by the Chemical Brothers. What? So the Chemical Brothers remixing a new tune from the forthcoming Oasis album called Falling Down with Noel on vocals. We think that that tune at least won't actually be on the album. You'll hear the original. And I guess that's probably been leaked online to drum up some interest in Oasis. Has it drummed up some interest from you? Dance floor lovey, Rufus.
My feeling about Oasis at the moment is almost exclusively about Neil Gallagher's Jay-Z rant.
Come on.
Noel, come on, that's what I said. Noel's anti-Jay-Z rant at Glastonbury, for which I think he's been justly kind of, made into a bit of a pariah in the music industry and the music press. And I think, quite rightly, I think he was being a bit of an idiot about it. And I think for his track to be remixed as well as this is better than he deserves, really.
Really?
Yes, I really do. Because I think that's really good. And I think that if he's going to do the old kind of, Glastonbury's only for guitar rock and Jay-Z's got no place there and stuff, and then someone does a much better job of his music than he can himself.
Ooh, this is outrageous.
Then he needs to just jolly well go back to the studio and write some decent songs.
I think that he was probably just sort of, pigeonholed outside an event somewhere, wasn't he? And they quickly asked him, "Hey, no, what do you think of Jay-Z?" "Oh, shibboleth." It's probably that, wasn't it? And suddenly now he's become...
What, he said shibba-da-bub?
And they misinterpreted that as I hate Jay-Z.
You never really know if, someone called him and put him on the spot slightly when he was having his cornflakes, or whether or not he kind of thought, "Give me that number for LBC, I'm going to ring in."
I can't imagine he phoned him when Ken Livingstone was sitting in.
Or Gaunty.
Vanessa, I must get on the lines of Vanessa Feltz.
Yeah, Noel on line 2 calling from Supernova.
Yeah, exactly.
If you weren't listening to Steve Lamacq the other day, you missed this.
This next tune needs a sort of explanation. Probably not the sort of music we'd normally play on Six Music, but it's been a big hit in the States, and it offers up some possible conversation here. Katy Perry, I think, was the sort of daughter of a fairly upstanding religious couple, and she had a few little tunes out, and then she's come back with this, an outrageous tune that's taken America by storm. It features lesbian undertones, and her name is Katy Perry. To say, here's the tune, "I Kissed a Girl."
So she is the child of a couple of pastors. She put out a kind of Christian gospel album and then was obviously signed up by someone else who thought, hang on a minute, wait, we can sex this lady up and ruffle some, Christian right feathers. And it's been a big hit stateside. I think Madonna's got behind her, and there we are. She's coming here, and I think the tune is released. She's not got behind her in that sense, Dan. And the tune is released, I think, 4th of August. So the reason I like to keep people fully abreast of what's happening in Popland, as much as I can say abreast, goodness sake. But yeah, I like people to know exactly what's happening in pop world. Now I can't say anything. I'm living on a knife edge. But do you think there's something quite pleasant in still being able to upset people just by, I don't know, a simple bit of lesbian canoodling?
Oh, I think if pop music can still, I think if really kind of anodyne saccharine pop like that can still carry a message that gets kids in playgrounds kind of roaring with laughter, doubled over with embarrassment, and parents kind of putting their hands over their children's ears, I think all good, definitely.
So really, in a sense, it's more rock and roll than, say, the Chemical Brothers and Noel Gallagher. Is that what you're saying? Is that the hot headline that you're going to give us?
If in my head there's a boxing ring with Perry on one side and Gallagher and those two guys on the other, that's just what I think about all the time.
It's just your fantasy.
Yeah.
Tiny Dan.
I'm going to disagree, I'm afraid. I thought it was a bit dull, and I can't help thinking the controversy around it. I can see it's a bit ever so slightly saucy with the chorus there. But isn't it all a bit contrived to get a bit of a reaction? And there's the suggestive cover, and we've just checked out a few pictures on the interwebs. I might check out a few more later, but just to complete my research and make sure that I know that it is all a bit. But I just thought contrived, a bit boring, really. Without the controversy, that would be a nothing song.
But isn't that the point, though, that as Rufus was saying, that we're still living in a world where the very hint of lesbianism can still kind of ruffle feathers, Harry?
Well, yeah, I guess so. It's a crazy mixed-up world, Steve. You won't be surprised that Madonna is a big fan of this young lady. And another of her singles was called You Are So Gay. And that song was criticised for alleged homophobia.
So this is very much a response to that?
Yeah, it's a call and response to her own single. But you do wonder where she's going to go from here. And I can't think of anything to say that isn't incredibly offensive.
She likes the taste of a chapstick.
Her girlfriend's cherry chapstick.
A cherry chapstick, yeah.
Nothing funny about that.
There's nothing funny about the word chapstick.
We've mentioned a brand name. We should mention, Blistees, Blistex, Carmex. There are plenty others available.
And chapstick.
Yeah, you're supposed to
but there is
rub a
cherry
chapstick on your lips, aren't you?
Yeah, if you know, it's nothing wrong with having a chapstick on your lips.
Well, it's soothing.
Yeah, of course.
Exactly.
But anyway,
so juvenile.
Are you a fan of? No, I'm not. No, what I was going to say was, are you a fan of that tune?
Oh, sorry. No.
Thank you very much. Okay, listen. On
digital.
Dubstar Stars from their 1995 album Disgraceful. Steve Show 6 Music with me, Steve Merchant, and my gang here. We'll be listening to some of the brand new tunes that have landed into the pigeonhole in a second. We're still here with Louis C.K. Louis, you, of course, are now best friends with a colleague of mine, Ricky Gervais. He would not be aware of you if it weren't for me. I very much flagged you up to him. He checked you out on YouTube. Mm-hmm. You're now best buddies. This happens a lot. He didn't watch The Sopranos. I told him to watch it. He watched it. Ended up going to the set, hanging out with them on the set, befriending some of them. I think he's actually now in the mob.
He's in
like an honorary.
Soprano.
He's an honorary mobster. Yeah. So that's pretty much how it works. I understand.
Yeah.
I play my
No, it's
rules.
funny because I met you guys at I told you this the other night that I met you at an HBO party 2 or 3 years ago or something, because when I saw The Office, it's the greatest thing I ever saw. It's just
No, good. No, you're a man of.
You're
good
just tired of hearing it, right?
No, It's carry on.
It's my favorite thing, and I just
sure. Of course it is. No, go on. Carry on. Come on, quick.
So I was at this HBO party, and somebody said, I'm going to introduce you to Steve Merchant and Ricky, and I really wanted to meet you more because I had the sense that you were the smart one, and that he was just a buffoon who knew how to be on camera.
Sure.
Not that he's stupid or you don't know how to be on camera, but a little bit of both is probably true. But so... somebody dragged me over, and I thought I was under the impression you guys wanted to meet me, but you had no idea who I was.
Didn't care.
No, didn't care. Really didn't care.
I remember because I remember thinking, "Who's this slob?"
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you guys both shook hands with me very barely. Just gave me your two
that sort of limp-wristed,
two forefingers and a thumb. Not even like really grasped my hands. Just that sort of like jiggled my hand like it was a set of keys, and then looked around for anything else to focus on, and I felt horrible. And then like 6 months later, somebody told me, my manager, not just somebody on the street, streetcar operator, said, Ricky saw you on YouTube, you're his favorite comic, he wants to put you in his movie, playing his best friend. So I was amazed. And then I got to meet you. I always wanted to meet you.
Yeah, no, I make magic happen for people. Yeah. I bring people together.
Yeah.
I'm a good guy.
But the Times said that Ricky and I in real life are best friends, which is embarrassing. It's just not true.
Sure.
I don't know Ricky that well. I mean, we get along great, but I've spent a total of about 80 minutes with him.
Yes.
So it's not a best friend.
That's a pretty long friend, isn't it, in showbiz circles? Ooh, that's a bit of satire.
I guess so. 80 minutes.
Ooh, I took a swipe there at show business. I don't care. It's about time someone did. Put show business back in its box.
The sacred cow. Show business.
We have the, as I say, our series of Inside the Actors Studio style questions.
Okay.
I'm just going to, it might help us get used to you. Here's a question. What would you like to apologise for? Can I direct you specifically to some of the things you were saying earlier?
Yeah.
That might be worth apologising for.
Sure.
If you could just give us a kind of blanket apology for some of the...
I could blanket. I should make a blanket apology every week or so.
Yeah.
For everything I've done and said.
But I think it's difficult if you've not seen your live show where you kind of you use certain terms in a way that's creative and interesting and mocks them and yet is liberal-minded and quite intricate. It's difficult when you come on in a half-baked way on the radio.
Yes.
That can sometimes seem like you're a bigot. But we should point out that's not the case.
I'm not a bigot, no.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think so. If I am, I'm not. I feel pretty good about who I am. So if that technically, if I am a bigot, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not sorry.
Okay. What would you like to ban?
Ban? Oh God. I don't. Anything I say is going to sound like just a pet peeve thing, and I'd like to ban crabs. You know. Is it called the same thing here? Mm-hmm. Crabs.
You mean the seafood?
No, the disease in your pubic hair.
You'd like to ban that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I only had it once when I was like 19, but I would like to ban it.
Okay. What advice?
I think it is banned. I don't think it's like legal to have. Go ahead.
What advice would you give your teenage self?
Just kill yourself now. Kill yourself now. The good does not outweigh the bad for the next 20 years.
Yeah. Beware of crabs.
Yeah.
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 If you could jump into any film and live the life in that film for the rest of your life, what would that film be?
I think it would be that movie Purple Rose of Cairo. Because that's what he does.
That's the same premise.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so that I could do it twice. and then go in and out of whatever movies.